The bitter January wind cut through Amelia Robinson's threadbare coat as she stepped out of the mercantile in Twin Falls, Idaho, carrying nothing but an empty basket and a heart full of shame. It was 1883, and the winter had been particularly cruel. Amelia had walked into town from the small cabin she rented on the outskirts, hoping to purchase flour and coffee on credit, but Mr. Henderson had refused. Her tab was already too high, he said. She had nothing of value to offer as collateral. The words stung worse than the cold. She was 22 years old, alone in this harsh territory, and completely out of options. Her husband had died 2 winters ago in a logging accident up north. They had come west together with dreams of starting fresh, but those dreams died with him. Since then, she had taken in washing and mending, but work was scarce in winter. Most folks did their own laundry when it was this cold, and her fingers were too stiff to do fine needlework anymore. The coins she had saved were gone. The small vegetable garden behind her cabin lay frozen and barren. She had eaten nothing but thin potato soup for 3 days. Amelia pulled her coat tighter and started the long walk home. The main street of Twin Falls was quiet, most people sensibly staying indoors by their fires. She felt invisible, worthless, a ghost drifting through a world that had no place for her. The winter always made her feel this way, reminded her of everything she had lost, everything she would never have. She was not beautiful enough to remarry, not skilled enough to earn decent wages, not strong enough to work the land alone. What worth did she have? She was so lost in these dark thoughts that she did not see the horse until it was nearly upon her. She stumbled backward, her worn boots slipping on the icy boardwalk. Strong hands caught her before she fell. "Steady there, miss. Are you hurt?" Amelia looked up into the face of a man she had never seen before. He was tall, with dark hair visible beneath his wide-brimmed hat, and eyes the color of warm coffee. His face was weathered by sun and wind, with lines that suggested he smiled often, though he looked concerned now. He was probably around 26 or 27, she guessed. "I am fine," she said quickly, stepping back from his hands. "Thank you." He studied her for a moment, his gaze taking in her thin coat, her pale face, the empty basket. "You do not look fine, if you will pardon me saying so." Amelia felt heat rise to her cheeks despite the cold. "I am perfectly well. Good day." She tried to move past him, but he gently touched her arm. "Wait, at least let me walk you home. These streets are icy and it looks like more snow is coming." "That is not necessary." "Maybe not, but I would like to anyway. My mother raised me to be a gentleman, and she would haunt me if I let a lady walk home alone in weather like this." He smiled then, and it transformed his face, made him look younger and kind. Amelia wanted to refuse, wanted to cling to what little pride she had left, but the truth was she was tired and cold and hungry, and the walk home seemed impossibly long. "All right," she said quietly. He fell into step beside her, leading his horse. "I am Ryan Norris. Just arrived in Twin Falls yesterday. I am looking to buy some land, start a cattle ranch." "Amelia Robinson," she replied. "I live just outside town." They walked in silence for a while. The wind picked up, blowing snow across the frozen road. Ryan seemed unbothered by it, but Amelia shivered. Without a word, he shrugged out of his heavy coat and draped it over her shoulders. "Please, you will freeze," she protested. "I have another coat in my saddlebag and I am used to the cold. You need it more than I do." The coat was warm from his body and it smelled like leather and wood smoke. Amelia pulled it close, feeling something inside her chest tighten. When was the last time anyone had shown her such simple kindness? "You are new to Twin Falls?" she asked, trying to make conversation. "Yes, I have been working on ranches in Montana for the past several years, saving money." Heard there was good land available here in Idaho. Thought it was time to build something of my own. That sounds like a good plan. What about you? Have you lived here long? 2 years, Amelia said. My husband and I came west after we married. He died shortly after. I am sorry, Ryan said, and his voice carried genuine sympathy. It was a long time ago. They reached the small cabin that Amelia called home. It was little more than a shack, really, with a sagging roof and gaps between the logs that let in the wind. She saw Ryan glance at it, saw him take in the general state of disrepair, but he said nothing. Thank you for walking me home, Amelia said, starting to take off his coat. Keep it for now. I will come by tomorrow to collect it if that is all right. You do not have to do that. I know. But I would like to. He tipped his hat to her. Good evening, Mrs. Robinson. Amelia watched him ride away, confused and unsettled. She could not remember the last time a man had been so courteous to her. Most men in town either ignored her or looked at her with a certain calculation, wondering if a poor widow might be desperate enough for companionship that she would lower her standards. Ryan had looked at her like she was a person deserving of respect. Inside the cabin, she stoked the dying fire and added the last of her wood. She would need to gather more tomorrow, though her woodpile was nearly exhausted. She heated up the remains of yesterday's potato soup, thin and tasteless, and ate it while wrapped in Ryan's coat. Tomorrow she would give it back, and that would be the end of it. He would move on with his life, and she would continue struggling through hers. But Ryan did come back the next day, and when he did, he brought supplies. Amelia was outside trying to chop wood with an axe that badly needed sharpening when she heard the sound of a wagon. She looked up to see Ryan driving a small cart loaded with goods. Her heart sank. She did not want charity. Mrs. Robinson, he called out, jumping down from the wagon seat. Good morning. Mr. Norris, I have your coat inside. Let me fetch it. No rush. He gestured to the wagon. I hope you will not think me presumptuous, but I bought too many supplies yesterday. The shopkeeper convinced me I needed all manner of things, and I realized this morning that I purchased far more than one man needs. I was hoping you might take some of it off my hands. Amelia looked at the loaded wagon, then at Ryan. You are lying. He had the grace to look sheepish. Yes, I am. But I am also sincere about wanting you to have these things. Please, Mrs. Robinson, it would ease my conscience. I cannot accept charity. It is not charity, it is neighborliness. He was already unloading flour, coffee, beans, salt pork, sugar. Besides, I was hoping we could make a trade. A trade? I have nothing to trade. Well, I need to learn about this area, where the good land is, what the water situation is like, which ranchers might be selling cattle. You have lived here 2 years. You must know things that would help me. He set a sack of flour on her doorstep. I would consider these supplies a fair trade for information. Amelia knew she should refuse. She knew accepting these things would put her in his debt somehow, but she was so hungry, and the sight of real food made her knees weak. I do not know much about ranching, but you know the area. You know the people. That is valuable. He carried another load to her door. What do you say? She hesitated, pride warring with necessity. Necessity won. All right, but this makes us even. No more debts. No more debts, Ryan agreed. He helped her carry everything inside, and Amelia was mortified by the state of her cabin. There was almost no furniture, just a rickety table, one chair, and a narrow bed in the corner. The floor was dirt and the walls let in drafts, but Ryan made no comment. He simply set the supplies on the table and asked if she had coffee. Soon they were sitting together, Amelia on the chair and Ryan on an upturned crate, drinking real coffee and eating bread with butter. Amelia could not remember anything tasting so good. She had to force herself to eat slowly, not to show how desperately hungry she had been. Ryan asked her about the area, and she told him what she knew. The Jenkins Ranch to the north was prosperous. The Taylor place to the east had good water. The Morrison family was thinking of selling because their eldest son wanted to move to California. She was surprised by how much she actually knew just from listening to gossip at the Mercantile and at church. "This is very helpful," Ryan said. "Thank you. I have not done much." "You have done more than you think." He looked around the cabin. "Mrs. Robinson, forgive me for being direct, but this place needs repairs before the next big storm. Your roof is in bad shape, and those gaps in the walls need to be chinked. Do you have someone who helps with maintenance?" Amelia felt her face flush. "I manage on my own." "I am sure you do, but managing alone is hard. Would you allow me to help? I need something to do while I am waiting for land deals to go through, and I am good with my hands. I cannot ask you to do that." "You are not asking, I am offering." He stood up. "I am going to take a look at that roof now, if you do not mind." Before she could protest, he was outside. Amelia followed him, watching as he climbed up to inspect the roof. "You need new shingles here and here," he called down. "The chimney needs work too." "I can have this fixed in a few days." "Mr. Norris, please, I cannot pay you." He climbed back down. "I am not asking for payment. Mrs. Robinson, I know what it is like to struggle alone. When I was 18, my father died and left my mother with 4 children and a failing farm. We nearly starved that first winter, but neighbors helped us and we survived. Now I am in a position to help someone else. Please let me do this." Amelia wanted to argue, but the sincerity in his eyes stopped her. "Why?" she asked quietly. "Why do you care what happens to me?" Ryan was silent for a moment, studying her face. "Because you remind me of my mother. That same pride, that same determination to survive. And because no one should have to face a winter alone." Something in Amelia's chest cracked open. Tears stung her eyes and she blinked them back furiously. "I do not know what to say." "Say yes." "Yes," she whispered. Over the next week, Ryan became a constant presence in Amelia's life. He repaired her roof, chinked the walls, sharpened her axe, and showed her how to split wood more efficiently. He brought more supplies, always with some excuse about having extra or needing to store things somewhere. He fixed her door so it closed properly, replaced broken hinges, and reinforced the stone foundation where it had crumbled. Amelia helped where she could, holding boards while he hammered, mixing mortar for the chinking, making coffee and simple meals. They talked while they worked. Ryan told her about growing up in Missouri, about his 3 sisters and younger brother, about working his way west after his father died. Amelia found herself telling him things she had not spoken of in years, about her childhood in Pennsylvania, about meeting her husband Thomas, about their dreams for a life out west. "You ever think about going back east?" Ryan asked one afternoon. They were sitting on the newly repaired step, taking a break from work. "Sometimes. But there is nothing for me there. My parents are gone. My sister married a banker and moved to Boston. We were never close. So you will stay here. I have nowhere else to go." Amelia looked out at the frozen landscape. "Though I do not know how much longer I can manage. Work is scarce, and I am running out of things to trade. You could remarry." "Who would want to marry a penniless widow?" The words came out more bitter than she intended. Ryan turned to look at her. "Any man with sense would consider himself lucky." Amelia laughed, though it sounded hollow. "You are kind to say so, but we both know that is not true. I have nothing to offer. No dowry, no property, no skills that would make me a good wife. You are strong. You are resourceful. You are kind. Those are valuable qualities. They do not fill an empty belly or fix a leaking roof. Maybe not, but they matter more than you think." Ryan stood up, brushing snow off his pants. "Come on. Let us get that last section of wall finished before dark." As they worked, Amelia found herself watching Ryan. He was handsome, certainly, but it was more than that. He moved with quiet confidence, never wasting motion, always knowing exactly what needed to be done. His hands were scarred and calloused from hard work. When he concentrated, he got a small crease between his eyebrows. He hummed sometimes while he worked, old songs she half remembered from childhood. She realized with a start that she was attracted to him. The thought was both thrilling and terrifying. She had not felt anything like this since Thomas died. She had convinced herself that part of her was dead, frozen like the winter ground. But here it was, this warm flutter in her chest whenever Ryan smiled at her, this awareness of his presence, this desire to be near him. It was foolish, of course. Ryan was being kind, nothing more. He was a successful rancher with money and prospects. Why would he be interested in someone like her? Once he found his land and started his ranch, he would forget all about the poor widow he had helped. She needed to guard her heart, not let herself hope for something that would never happen. But despite her best efforts, hope kept creeping in. One evening, after they had finished the last of the repairs, Ryan stayed for supper. Amelia had made a real meal with the supplies he had brought. Fried salt pork, beans, cornbread, even canned peaches for dessert. They ate at her small table, now supplemented with a second chair Ryan had made from spare lumber. "This cabin feels different," Ryan said, looking around. "Warmer somehow." "That is because the walls are actually sealed now," Amelia replied with a smile. "No, it is more than that. It feels like a home. You did most of the work, but you made it a home. That is a different thing entirely." He took a bite of cornbread. "You are a good cook." "This is nothing special." "It is special to me. I have been eating my own cooking for too long, and I am terrible at it." They talked late into the evening, long after the dishes were washed and put away. Ryan told her about the Morrison Ranch, which he was close to purchasing. It was 200 acres with good water and decent grazing land. He described his plans for building it up, breeding quality cattle, maybe adding horses eventually. "It sounds wonderful," Amelia said. "You must be excited." "I am, though it is also frightening. This is everything I have worked for, and if I fail—" "You will not fail. You are too determined for that. You have a lot of faith in someone you have only known a week. Sometimes a week is enough." Amelia met his eyes, then looked away, suddenly shy. When Ryan finally stood to leave, he seemed reluctant. "I suppose I should go. It is late." "Yes, thank you for supper. I mean, thank you for staying. Thank you for having me." He pulled on his coat, then paused at the door. "Mrs. Robinson, I was wondering if you would let me take you to church on Sunday, as a friend." Amelia's heart skipped. "I would like that. Good. I will come by with the wagon around 9. He smiled at her, that warm smile that made his eyes crinkle at the corners. "Good night, Amelia." It was the first time he had used her given name, and she loved the sound of it. "Good night, Ryan." After he left, Amelia lay in bed, staring at the newly repaired ceiling, unable to sleep. She kept replaying the evening in her mind, analyzing every word, every look. Did Ryan's invitation mean something more than friendship? Or was she reading too much into it? The winter had made her feel so unworthy, so small and insignificant. But Ryan had shown her kindness without expecting anything in return. He had seen her at her lowest and had not turned away. He had worked beside her, talked with her, treated her like an equal. For the first time in years, she felt like maybe she was worth something after all, but she was afraid to believe it, afraid to hope. Sunday morning, Amelia woke early and took stock of her wardrobe. She owned 2 dresses. One was the faded blue cotton she wore every day, mended so many times it was more patches than original fabric. The other was the black wool dress she had worn to Thomas's funeral, now threadbare at the cuffs and collar. She put on the black dress, brushed her hair until it shone, and pinned it up carefully. There was no mirror, but she did her best to look presentable. When Ryan arrived, his eyes widened slightly. "You look lovely." "Thank you, you look nice as well." He was wearing a clean white shirt, a vest, and a string tie. His hair was neatly combed and he had shaved. The ride to church was pleasant. The sun was shining, making the snow glitter like diamonds. Other wagons and riders were heading to town, and people called out greetings. Amelia saw the curious looks directed at her, and Ryan saw the women whispering to each other. Let them talk, she thought. She had nothing to be ashamed of. At church, Ryan sat beside her, sharing a hymnal. His voice was a pleasant baritone, strong and sure. During the sermon, his arm rested on the back of the pew, not quite touching her but close enough that she was aware of it. After the service, he introduced her to people as his friend, and there was pride in his voice that made her heart swell. Mrs. Henderson, the shopkeeper's wife, pulled Amelia aside. "My dear, it is so good to see you, and with such a nice young man. Ryan Norris has been the talk of the town, you know. Every unmarried woman has been trying to catch his eye." "We are just friends," Amelia said quickly. "Of course, dear. But friendship is often where the best marriages start." She patted Amelia's hand. "You deserve some happiness. You have had such a hard time." On the ride home, Ryan was quiet. Finally, he said, "I hope I did not cause you any trouble. People will talk. Let them talk. It does not bother you." "It did once, but I am learning not to care so much what other people think." Amelia looked at him. "Does it bother you?" "No, I am proud to be seen with you." The simple statement made Amelia's throat tight. "You barely know me." "I know enough. I know you are brave and strong. I know you work hard and do not complain. I know you have survived things that would break most people." He pulled the wagon to a stop in front of her cabin. "I know I enjoy your company more than anyone else I have met in years. Ryan, I am probably saying too much, but I believe in being honest." He turned to face her fully. "Amelia, these past weeks have been some of the best I can remember. I know I came to Twin Falls to start a ranch, but I think I have found something more important." "What is that, you?" Amelia's breath caught. "You do not mean that." "I do. I know this is fast, and I know you might not feel the same way, but I had to tell you, you are worth everything to me." Tears spilled down Amelia's cheeks. "How can you say that? I have nothing. I am nothing." "That is not true." Ryan reached out and gently wiped away her tears. "You are everything. You do not need money or property to have worth. You just need to be you." "The winter made me feel so worthless," she whispered, "like I did not matter at all. You matter to me, more than you know." He took her hands in his. "I am not asking you to decide anything right now. I know you need time, but I wanted you to know how I feel." Amelia looked into his warm brown eyes and saw only sincerity. "I care about you too," she said softly. "I have been trying not to, trying to protect myself, but I cannot help it." "Then do not try to help it. Let yourself feel it." "I am afraid. So am I. But maybe being afraid together is better than being alone." They sat there for a long moment, hands clasped, looking at each other. Then Ryan leaned forward slowly, giving her time to pull away if she wanted, but she did not want to. When his lips met hers, gentle and questioning, she kissed him back. It was tender and sweet, nothing like the hungry kisses of her youth with Thomas. This was different, more mature, filled with respect and growing affection. When they pulled apart, both were smiling. "Would you like to come in for coffee?" Amelia asked. "I would love to." They spent the afternoon together, talking and laughing, making plans. Ryan told her more about the Morrison Ranch, and Amelia shared her ideas about what a ranch house should include. It felt natural, easy, as if they had known each other for years rather than weeks. As the sun was setting, Ryan reluctantly prepared to leave. "I need to go into Boys tomorrow to finalize some paperwork for the ranch purchase." I will be gone for a few days. Will you be all right? I will be fine. You have made sure of that. When I get back, I would like to take you to dinner at the hotel, a real date. I would like that very much. He kissed her again, longer this time, and Amelia felt warmth spread through her entire body. When he finally rode away, she stood in the doorway watching until he disappeared from sight, her fingers pressed to her lips. The next few days passed slowly. Amelia kept herself busy with chores, but she found herself constantly thinking about Ryan. She relived their conversations, remembered the feel of his kiss, imagined what their future might hold together. It seemed impossible that such happiness could be real, that someone like him could truly care for someone like her. On the third evening, there was a knock at her door. Amelia's heart leaped, thinking Ryan had returned early, but when she opened the door, she found a stranger standing there. He was in his 30s, rough-looking, with mean eyes and whiskey on his breath. "You are Mrs. Robinson?" he asked. "Yes, can I help you? Name is Charlie Briggs." "I own this cabin." Amelia's stomach dropped. "I pay rent to Mr. Henderson at the Mercantile." "Well, Henderson sold his property holdings to me last week. That includes this cabin, and I am raising the rent, double what you have been paying starting now." "Double? I cannot afford that." "Not my problem. You got until the end of the month to pay up or get out." He looked her up and down in a way that made her skin crawl. "Course, we might be able to work out another arrangement if you are interested." "Get off my property." "It is my property, sweetheart. You are just a tenant." "And tenants can be evicted." He grinned, showing yellowed teeth. "Think about my offer. I will be back." After he left, Amelia sank onto her bed, shaking. Double the rent was impossible. Even when she had been working regularly, she had barely managed the current rent. There was no way she could earn that much money in 3 weeks. She would lose the cabin. She would lose everything. All the fears and doubts came rushing back. This moment of happiness with Ryan had been just an illusion. Reality was hard and cold, and she was still the same worthless widow with nothing to offer. What would Ryan think when he learned she was about to be homeless? He would probably realize she was more trouble than she was worth and move on. The next morning, Amelia forced herself to go into town. She needed to find work, any work, no matter how unpleasant. She went to every business, every home, asking if they needed washing done, mending, cleaning, anything. Most people turned her away kindly. A few offered a few coins for small jobs, but nothing that would come close to earning what she needed. She was walking past the hotel when she heard someone call her name. She turned to see Ryan dismounting from his horse. Her heart lifted at the sight of him, then sank again as she remembered her situation. "Amelia, I just got back. I was going to come see you." He walked over, smiling, then his expression changed as he took in her face. "What is wrong?" "Nothing. I am fine." "You are not fine." "Tell me what happened." The concern in his voice broke through her defenses. "The man who owns my cabin came by. He is doubling the rent. I have until the end of the month to pay or leave." "That is outrageous. Can he do that? He owns the property. He can do whatever he wants." Ryan's jaw tightened. "This Charlie Briggs, you know him." "I have heard of him. He bought up a lot of property in the area, mostly to squeeze people for money. He has a bad reputation." Ryan took her arm. "Come on, let us go to the hotel and talk about this." "I do not need charity." "It is not charity. It is problem solving. Let me help." They went to the hotel restaurant and ordered coffee. Amelia felt conspicuous in her shabby dress, but Ryan did not seem to notice. He was focused entirely on her problem. "How much is the new rent?" he asked. Amelia told him. His eyebrows rose. "That is robbery. The cabin is barely worth half that, I know, but I have no choice. You have choices. You could find another place to live." "There is nowhere else I can afford. You could move to the ranch with me. Amelia's cheeks flushed. "Ryan, I cannot do that. It would not be proper." "I did not mean it that way. I meant you could live in the main house while I build a separate cabin for myself, or we could get married." He said it casually, but his eyes were intent on her face. "Married?" Amelia's voice came out as a squeak. "Why not?" "We care about each other. We enjoy each other's company. I need a partner to help build the ranch, and you need security. It makes sense." "That is not a reason to get married." "It is not the only reason. I love you, Amelia." The words hung in the air between them. Amelia stared at him, speechless. "I know it is fast," Ryan continued. "I know we have only known each other a few weeks, but sometimes you just know. I knew from that first day when you looked at me with those fierce eyes and insisted you were fine even though you were clearly struggling. I knew you were someone special, someone worth building a life with. You cannot love me, you barely know me. I know everything that matters. I know your heart, and it is good." He reached across the table and took her hand. "I am not asking you to love me back right away. That can grow with time, but I am asking you to marry me, to be my wife and partner, to help me build something together." Amelia's mind was reeling. "This is insane." "Maybe, but is it any more insane than you trying to survive alone? Than you losing your home because some greedy man wants to exploit you?" Ryan squeezed her hand. "Marry me, Amelia. Let me take care of you. Let me prove to you every day that you are worth everything. I do not want to be a burden." "You would never be a burden. You would be my wife." "That is completely different." Amelia looked at their joined hands, then up at his face. He meant it, she realized. He actually wanted to marry her. This kind, generous, handsome man wanted her to be his wife. It seemed impossible, like a dream she would wake from any moment. But it was not a dream, it was real. "I love you too," she whispered. "I did not want to admit it, thought I was being foolish, but I do." Ryan's face lit up. "Then say yes." "Yes." The word came out stronger. "Yes, I will marry you." He stood up, pulled her to her feet, and kissed her right there in the hotel restaurant. Amelia heard someone gasp, someone else laugh, but she did not care. She was kissing the man she loved, the man who thought she was worth everything. When they pulled apart, Ryan was grinning. "When?" "When what? When should we get married?" "I am thinking as soon as possible." "Ryan, people will talk. Let them talk. I do not want to wait, do you?" Amelia thought about going back to that cold cabin alone, thought about the fear and uncertainty of the past years, thought about facing another winter by herself. "No, I do not want to wait either. Tomorrow, then. We can get married tomorrow." "That is very fast." "I am a decisive man." He kissed her again, softer this time. "Tomorrow, say yes." "Yes." They were married the next afternoon in the small church, with the pastor and his wife as witnesses. Amelia wore her black dress because it was all she had, but Ryan bought her a bouquet of hothouse flowers from the mercantile. She had never seen anything so beautiful. The ceremony was simple. They spoke their vows, exchanged rings that Ryan had purchased in Boise, and sealed their marriage with a kiss. Afterward, they had dinner at the hotel, just the two of them, and Ryan told her about his trip to Boise and the finalized purchase of the Morrison Ranch. "It is ours now," he said. "Our ranch, our future. I still cannot quite believe this is happening." "Believe it. You are Mrs. Norris now. My wife." That night they stayed at the hotel. Ryan was gentle and patient, understanding that Amelia was nervous. It had been years since she had been with a man, and everything felt new and overwhelming. But Ryan made her feel safe, cherished, loved. Afterward, she lay in his arms, listening to his heartbeat, and felt peace settle over her for the first time in years. "No regrets?" Ryan asked softly. "None. You, only that I did not find you sooner." The next week was a whirlwind of activity. They packed up Amelia's meager belongings from the cabin. When Charlie Briggs came by to collect rent, Ryan was there. The confrontation was brief. "She does not live here anymore," Ryan said flatly. "She is my wife now, and if I hear of you harassing her again, we will have a problem." Briggs looked at Ryan, sized him up, and apparently decided he was not worth the trouble. He left without another word. They moved to the Morrison Ranch, which Ryan had already renamed the Norris Ranch. The main house was solidly built with 2 bedrooms, a real kitchen, and a parlor with a stone fireplace. To Amelia, who had been living in a one-room shack, it seemed like a mansion. "This is too much," she said, walking through the rooms. "It is ours. You can make it a home." And she did. While Ryan worked on repairing fences and outbuildings, Amelia cleaned and organized the house. She made curtains from fabric Ryan bought her. She planted herbs in pots on the windowsills. She arranged the furniture to make the space warm and welcoming. Slowly, the house transformed from an empty building into a home. Ryan hired 2 ranch hands, brothers named Tom and Joe Miller, to help with the work. They were good men, hard workers, and respectful. Amelia cooked for them along with Ryan, and mealtimes became social events, filled with laughter and stories. One evening, about a month after the wedding, Amelia was washing dishes when Ryan came up behind her and wrapped his arms around her waist. "Happy?" he asked. "Very. Sometimes I have to pinch myself to believe this is real." "It is real. You are real. We are real." He kissed the back of her neck. "I have been thinking." "About what?" "About how lucky I am. I came to Twin Falls looking to start a ranch, and I found so much more. I found you." Amelia turned in his arms. "I am the lucky one. You saved me, Ryan. I was drowning and you pulled me out. You saved yourself. I just gave you a hand. You gave me more than that. You gave me hope. You made me believe I was worth something." "You are worth everything," Ryan said firmly. "I wish you could see yourself the way I see you. Strong, capable, beautiful." "I am not beautiful. You are to me the most beautiful woman I have ever known." He kissed her then, and Amelia felt the familiar warmth spread through her body. She would never get tired of this, she thought. Never get tired of being held, being loved, being cherished. Winter slowly gave way to spring. The snow melted, revealing the brown earth beneath. Ryan and the Miller brothers worked on building up the cattle herd, purchasing stock from neighboring ranches. Amelia started a garden, planting vegetables and herbs. She also began taking and sewing work from women in town, earning her own money. Ryan had told her she did not need to work, but Amelia wanted to contribute, wanted to feel useful. One morning in April, Amelia woke feeling nauseated. She barely made it to the wash basin before she was sick. Ryan was immediately concerned. "Should I fetch the doctor?" "No, I think I know what this is." Amelia looked at him, sudden joy blooming in her chest. "I think I am with child." Ryan's eyes widened. "Are you sure?" "Fairly sure." "I have been late in this nausea. It is how I felt before with Thomas before I miscarried." "You miscarried?" Amelia nodded. 3 months along. It was part of why Thomas wanted to move west, to start fresh away from all the sad memories. Ryan pulled her into his arms. "I am sorry." "I did not know. I never told you. It hurt too much to talk about. Are you frightened about this pregnancy?" "A little, but mostly I am happy." She looked up at him. "Are you happy, beyond happy?" "Terrified but happy," he laughed. "A father, I am going to be a father." Over the next months, Ryan became almost comically protective. He insisted Amelia rest more, not lift anything heavy, eat plenty. Amelia found it both endearing and exasperating. "I am pregnant, not fragile," she told him. "Women have been doing this since the beginning of time. But you are not just any woman. You are my woman, my wife, the mother of my child." In the end, Amelia let him fuss because she knew it came from love, and the truth was, she enjoyed being cared for. After so many years of having to be strong alone, It was nice to let someone else shoulder the burden. The pregnancy progressed well. Amelia felt the baby move for the first time in June, and Ryan insisted on feeling it too, his hand pressed against her swelling belly, his face alight with wonder. "That is our child," he whispered, "our baby. Yes, I promise to be a good father, to always protect this child, to give them everything they need. I know you will." Summer brought hard work. The ranch was thriving with a growing herd and improving pastures. Ryan hired another hand to help with the increased workload. Money was still tight, but they were making a profit, slowly building security for their future. Amelia spent her days managing the household, tending the garden, and preparing for the baby. She sewed tiny clothes, made blankets, set up a cradle in their bedroom. The women from church came to visit, bringing gifts and advice. Mrs. Henderson gave her a beautiful quilt. Mrs. Taylor brought baby clothes her own children had outgrown. "You look happy, dear Mrs. Henderson said during one visit. "So different from last winter. I am happy, happier than I ever thought possible. Ryan is a good man. You are lucky to have found each other, I know." In October, as the leaves were turning gold and red, Amelia went into labor. It was long and difficult, lasting through the night and into the next day. Ryan stayed by her side the entire time, holding her hand, wiping her forehead, encouraging her. "You can do this," he said. "You are the strongest person I know. I cannot. It hurts too much. You can. I believe in you." Finally, as the sun was setting on the second day, their son was born. He came into the world screaming, red-faced and furious. The midwife cleaned him up and placed him in Amelia's arms. "A boy," she announced. "A healthy boy." Amelia looked down at the tiny face, the little hands curled into fists, and felt love unlike anything she had ever experienced. This was her son, hers and Ryan's. "He is perfect," Ryan said, his voice thick with emotion. "You are perfect. Thank you, Amelia. Thank you for giving me this." They named him William, after Ryan's father. Little William was a good baby, healthy and strong. He nursed well and slept reasonably, though those first weeks were exhausting. Ryan helped as much as he could, walking the floor with William when he fussed at night, changing nappies, doing whatever Amelia needed. "You are a natural," Amelia told him one evening. She was sitting in the rocking chair nursing William, and Ryan was sitting nearby, watching them with soft eyes. "I am just doing what my father did. He was very involved with us children, said raising kids was too important to leave entirely to my mother. He sounds like he was a good man. He was. I wish he could have met you, he would have loved you." Winter came again, but this year it was different. The house was warm and secure. The pantry was full of food from their garden and Ryan's successful cattle sales. William was growing, becoming more alert, starting to smile. And Amelia had Ryan by her side, loving her, supporting her, proving every day that she mattered. One evening in December, almost exactly a year after they had first met, Amelia and Ryan sat together by the fire. William was asleep in his cradle. Outside, snow was falling softly, blanketing the world in white. "You remember last winter?" Ryan asked. "When I found you outside the mercantile?" "Of course, how could I forget? You looked so lost, so alone." "I was lost, I was alone, I had given up hope." And now, Amelia looked around the warm room at her sleeping son, at her husband's face illuminated by firelight. "Now I have everything I never knew I needed." "You gave me that, Ryan. We gave it to each other. You made me believe in something more than just owning land and raising cattle. You made me believe in family, in building a real home." "Last winter made me feel so unworthy," Amelia said quietly. "Like I had no value, no purpose. But you proved me wrong. You were always worthy, you just could not see it. I can see it now because of you." Ryan reached over and took her hand. You are worth everything, Amelia, everything. Do not ever forget that. I will not. Not anymore. They sat together in comfortable silence, watching the fire, holding hands. Outside, the winter wind howled, but inside they were warm and safe and together. The years passed, and the ranch continued to prosper. Ryan expanded the herd, added horses, built new outbuildings. Amelia managed the household and raised William, who grew into a sturdy, cheerful boy with his father's brown eyes and his mother's determination. 2 years after William's birth, Amelia had another child, a daughter they named Caroline. She had Ryan's smile and Amelia's blonde hair. William adored his baby sister, constantly wanting to help care for her. The house was filled with noise and laughter and love. Ryan proved to be everything Amelia had hoped, and more. He was a devoted husband and father, always putting his family first. When William was sick with a fever, Ryan stayed up 3 nights straight helping nurse him back to health. When Caroline was teething and fussy, he walked the floor with her for hours, singing lullabies in his deep voice. "You are amazing with them," Amelia told him one evening. She was watching him play with the children, building block towers for William to knock down while Caroline gurgled happily in his lap. "They make it easy. They are good kids. They are good kids because they have a good father and a wonderful mother." He looked up at her. "I love our life, Amelia. Every messy, chaotic moment of it. So do I." As the children grew, they became more involved in ranch life. William learned to ride almost before he could walk, following his father around on a gentle mare. Caroline was more interested in the garden, helping Amelia plant and weed and harvest. The ranch hands treated the children like honorary nephews and nieces, teaching them skills and telling them stories. The community that had once ignored Amelia now embraced her family. She and Ryan were respected members of the church and the town. Ryan served on the town council. Amelia organized quilting bees and charity drives. They hosted barn dances and holiday parties. Their home became known as a place of warmth and welcome. One day when William was 5 and Caroline was 3, a woman showed up at the ranch. She was thin and ragged with a look in her eyes that Amelia recognized. It was the same look she had once worn, the look of someone who had given up hope. "Please, madam," the woman said, "I am looking for work. Anything at all. I can clean, cook, mend. I will work for just food and a place to sleep." Amelia looked at the woman and saw herself 5 years earlier. "What is your name?" "Sarah, Sarah Mitchell." "Come inside, Sarah. Let us have some coffee and talk." She gave Sarah a job helping with the housework and caring for the children. She gave her a room in the house, good meals, fair wages. She treated her with respect and kindness, and she watched as Sarah slowly transformed, just as she herself had transformed under Ryan's care. One evening, after Sarah had been with them for several months, Ryan found Amelia on the porch, watching the sunset. "You are thinking about something," he said, settling beside her. "I was thinking about how far we have come, how different our lives are from what they were. Happy differences. The best differences." Amelia leaned against him. "I was also thinking about Sarah, about how I was in her place once, desperate and alone. If you had not helped me, had not seen my worth when I could not see it myself, I would probably be dead by now. Do not say that. It is true. I was giving up, Ryan. That winter was killing me piece by piece, but you saved me. You saved yourself. I just reminded you that you were worth saving. You did more than that. You gave me a reason to keep going. You gave me love, family, purpose. You gave me everything." Ryan turned her to face him. "And you gave me everything. A home, children, a reason to build something that matters. We saved each other, Amelia." "I suppose we did." He kissed her then, tender and deep, and Amelia felt the same flutter in her chest that she had felt 5 years earlier when he had first told her she was worth everything. More years passed. William grew into a responsible young man who loved ranching as much as his father. Caroline became a skilled horsewoman and showed an aptitude for numbers, helping her father with the ranch accounts. Ryan's hair started to gray at the temples, and Amelia found laugh lines forming around her eyes, but they both considered these marks of a life well lived. They had 2 more children, a son they named Thomas after Amelia's first husband, and another daughter they named Margaret after Ryan's mother. The house expanded to accommodate the growing family. The ranch prospered, becoming one of the most successful in the territory. Sarah eventually married Tom Miller, one of the ranch hands, and they built a small house on the edge of the property. They had children of their own, and the 2 families celebrated holidays and birthdays together. The ranch became a community, a place where people took care of each other. Amelia never forgot that dark winter when she had felt worthless and alone. She never forgot the fear, the hunger, the desperation. But she also never forgot the moment when Ryan had looked at her and said she was worth everything. That moment had changed her life. She made it her mission to help others the way Ryan had helped her. She hired people who needed work. She donated to the church's charity fund. She organized food drives for struggling families. She visited new widows and offered support. She became known throughout Twin Falls as someone who cared, someone who helped, someone who saw value in everyone. One winter evening, when Amelia was in her 40s and the children were mostly grown, she and Ryan sat together by the fire. It was their tradition, these quiet evenings after the household had settled. They would sit and talk, or sometimes just sit in comfortable silence, enjoying each other's presence. "You remember the day we met?" Amelia asked. "Every detail." "You were standing outside the mercantile, looking fierce and stubborn and completely lost. I was lost. I had no idea how I was going to survive. But you did survive. You fought your way through, with your help. We helped each other." Ryan took her hand, his thumb rubbing across her knuckles. "I have never regretted a single moment since that day. Not one. Neither have I. Even the hard times, the struggles, they were all worth it because we faced them together. That is what marriage is supposed to be. Facing life together, supporting each other, building something that lasts. We built something beautiful, did we not? The most beautiful thing. A family, a home, a life full of love." Ryan kissed her hand. "You are still worth everything to me, Amelia, more now than ever." "And you are my everything, Ryan. My savior, my partner, my love." They sat together, hands clasped, watching the fire. Outside, snow was falling, just as it had been falling that first winter night when they met. But inside they were warm and safe, surrounded by decades of love and memories. As the years continued to pass, their love only deepened. They weathered hardships together, drought years when the cattle suffered, illness that struck the family, the inevitable conflicts and challenges of life. But through it all, they remained devoted to each other, their bond unbreakable. William eventually took over more of the ranch operations, allowing Ryan to slow down a bit. Caroline married a doctor from Boise and moved to the city, but visited often with her own children. Thomas became a lawyer, the first in the family to attend university. Margaret stayed on the ranch, marrying the son of a neighboring rancher and settling nearby. Ryan and Amelia became grandparents, then great-grandparents. They watched their family tree grow and spread, knowing that they had created something that would last long after they were gone. Every child, every grandchild, grew up hearing the story of how Grandma and Grandpa had met, how love had saved them both, how they had built everything from nothing. On their 25th wedding anniversary, the family threw a huge party. The house and yard were filled with children, grandchildren, friends, neighbors. There was music and dancing and too much food. Ryan gave a speech, thanking Amelia for 25 years of love and partnership. "This woman," he said, gesturing to Amelia, "is the strongest, bravest, most wonderful person I have ever known. When I met her, she thought she was worthless. She thought she had nothing to offer, but I saw the truth. I saw someone extraordinary, someone worth fighting for, someone worth everything. And every day since then she has proven me right. Amelia, you are my heart, my home, my everything. Here is to 25 more years." Everyone cheered. Amelia wiped tears from her eyes and stood to kiss her husband. The love she felt for him had not diminished over the years. It had only grown stronger, deeper, more complex. He was woven into every part of her life, every memory, every dream. As they grew older, they spent more time together, just the two of them. They would take walks around the property, remembering when it was all new and overwhelming. They would sit on the porch in the evenings, holding hands and watching the sunset. They would lie in bed at night, talking about the past and the future, sharing thoughts and dreams. "You ever miss your old life?" Ryan asked one night. "Before you met me?" "Never. That life was hard and lonely. This life, our life, is everything I could have wanted and more." Even with all the struggles, especially with all the struggles, they made us stronger. They proved that we could handle anything as long as we were together. "I love you, Amelia. I have loved you from the moment I saw you, and I will love you until my last breath. And I love you. You gave me a life worth living. You proved to me that I mattered. You always mattered. I just helped you see it." They continued building their life together, year after year. Ryan's hair turned white, and Amelia's face grew lined with age, but they still saw each other as they had been that first winter. Young, hopeful, falling in love. Their bodies might age, but their hearts remained constant. Eventually, as happens to everyone, their time began to draw to a close. Ryan's health started failing in his 70s. He developed a cough that would not go away, and his energy waned. But he remained positive, determined to squeeze every bit of joy out of life. "I am not afraid," he told Amelia one evening. They were sitting together, as always, by the fire. "I have lived a good life. I have loved and been loved. I have seen my children grow and thrive. What more could a man ask for?" "I am afraid," Amelia admitted. "I am afraid of losing you. I do not know how to exist without you. You will be fine. You are the strongest person I know." "I am only strong because of you." "No, you were always strong. I just reminded you." He took her hand, his grip weak but steady. "Promise me something, anything. Promise me you will not give up when I am gone. Promise me you will keep living, keep loving, keep being the amazing woman you are, Ryan. Promise me, Amelia." "I promise." Ryan lived another 2 years, and they were good years despite his declining health. He was surrounded by family, by love, by everything he had built. When he finally passed, peacefully in his sleep with Amelia beside him, the entire community mourned. The church overflowed with people wanting to pay their respects to a man who had touched so many lives. Amelia grieved deeply, but she kept her promise. She continued living at the ranch, now run by William. She spent time with her children and grandchildren. She continued her charity work, helping others in need. She carried Ryan's love with her always, a warm presence in her heart that never faded. She lived another 10 years after Ryan's death, and they were good years. Bittersweet, but good. She told stories about Ryan to anyone who would listen, keeping his memory alive. She taught her grandchildren about love and commitment and the importance of seeing worth in everyone. When Amelia finally passed, peacefully in her sleep at the age of 83, her family gathered to celebrate her life. They told stories about her strength, her kindness, her unwavering love for Ryan. They talked about how she had transformed from a desperate widow into a pillar of the community, how she had helped countless people over the years, how she had built a legacy of love. At her funeral, William gave the eulogy. He stood before the packed church and spoke of his mother with pride and love. "My mother used to tell us about the winter she met our father. She said she felt worthless that winter, invisible, like she did not matter. But our father saw her true worth, and he spent the rest of his life proving it to her. He told her she was worth everything, and he meant it. Together, they built this family, this ranch, this community. They showed us what real love looks like, patient, kind, enduring. My mother may be gone, but her legacy lives on in all of us. We are all here because she never gave up, because she believed in love, because she saw worth in everyone just as my father saw worth in her." Amelia was buried next to Ryan, their graves marked by a simple stone that read, "Ryan and Amelia Norris, together forever, worth everything." The ranch continued through the generations, passed down through William's children and their children after that. The story of Ryan and Amelia became family legend, told and retold, a reminder of what love could accomplish. The house they had built together still stood, expanded and modernized, but fundamentally the same, still a place of warmth and welcome. Years later, on a cold winter evening much like the one when Ryan and Amelia had met, one of their great-great-granddaughters stood on the porch of that house, looking out at the snow-covered land. She was thinking about the story she had grown up hearing, about the desperate widow and the kind cowboy who had changed each other's lives. She thought about Amelia, feeling worthless and alone. She thought about Ryan, seeing her value when she could not see it herself. She thought about the love they had built, the family they had created, the legacy they had left behind, and she understood in that moment the true meaning of the story. It was not just about romance, though that was part of it. It was about seeing worth in others, about offering kindness without expectation, about believing that everyone matters. It was about how one moment of compassion could change everything, how one person's belief in you could transform your entire life. The winter wind blew, cold and sharp, but inside the house it was warm. There was food in the kitchen, family gathered around the fire, love in every room. This was what Ryan and Amelia had built. This was their legacy, worth everything indeed.